something set. Hold up. Let me fix something. Give me 1 second. Where you go? Let's see. Hold on. Okay. All right. I think that's clear. Let me see if I can see. Yeah, we here. Hold on. Let me see if I can make it a little brighter. 1 second. Let me see if I can work this real fast. Ah, there we go. I can make it brighter. Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Peace, Kai Wallace. Exactly. You say, Islam, beloved, wake us up. Indeed. Indeed, Kai Wallace. Indeed. I told y'all people be butthurt, but we're going to always drop facts. We're going to always drop bombs. We're going to always drop receipts. Always. And I tell people, you make the decision how you want and see how it turn out for you. But I tell people truth has no sides. And you can feel about it how you want to. So just give me a second. I'm getting home. Let me get my notes together out on the highway. I was in Detroit. So tomorrow I'll be going to Pontiac, building with some brothers, building with some Kappa brothers, because I bring truth to everybody. I'm not limited, and I travel all over. And so I know brothers all over. Brothers join different societies because that's what brothers did, brotherhood. But me coming in, I'm removing the veil on all oath, on all religious societies, bringing people back home. One nationality, many cultures. It's not no game. I'm sorry. So we're going to talk about a topic, just a tittle. I'm going to talk about a few topics. One topic I'm going to illuminate a little bit. I'm not going to stay all the way in it. If anybody want the documents, you can get them. All you got to do is send me your email like the Noble did earlier. He was like, dang, Sheik. He was like, these brothers be acting like gatekeepers. I got everything for you. That's why they be mad, because what they be promulgating go against what the prophet set up. And most people don't know how to read, point blank. So I don't know if anybody ever heard of Frederick Turner L, which was a Moorish trailblazer. And I'm going to break some stuff down about that. I'm going to break down, if time permits me, I'm going to break down, hold on, let me see. I'm going to break down another topic, if time permits. And that topic is called, what did I just download it? Let me see. Oh, yep. And I might illuminate the five principles of Islam: the I, the self, the law, and the master, the crescent and the star. I'm going to break down the I of Islam, the self, the law, and the master, if time permits. If time permits. But like I tell everyone, truth has no sides. And people try to hide wisdom and make up their own stuff, and they be upset. And then certain people try to say things, but when I pull out real documents, like earlier, I got that. I do got this phone. When earlier people be professing things, and I'm like, and I always say, don't put your foot in your mouth. I just want to show a highlight of earlier today. I tell people, I say, don't put your foot in your mouth. Well, somebody say they don't this, not, and the other. I say, I don't care what nobody say. I'm talking about the truth. It's just like Malcolm, when he was part of the Nation of Islam and he figured things out and he saw things, you can't be a part of that. I'm an educator, academia. Yes, I'll be part of things, but that's where it go. And people be butthurt. Let me see, I should have saved, did I say the document from earlier? When people be saying things, when I say it's only one temple, let me find something, because I'm setting a precedent. And then we're going to move forward. Here we go. And then we're going to move forward. when I always tell people it's one more Zion Temple of America. When people say, "Oh, this person don't this, that, and the other," and I say, you don't know people affiliations, and you don't know what other people know. And when people know more than the people you might be under, and when these people do things and get in trouble, that's why people be butthurt. But you can't deny the facts. See, you can't deny the facts. A Noble Kai Wallace, they can't deny the facts. How the temple set up. They can't deny what I teach and what I promulgate, because I'm teaching the truth, and people still don't know how to read. When people say you ain't this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other, I say, okay. Well, when I pull my paperwork out from the temple, and that really don't mean nothing. Temple paperwork really don't mean nothing, with all due respect. When these certain individuals say that they from Chicago and this and that and the other, and they this and that and the other, okay, well, here you go. From the person they was talking about that this and that and the other, it's the same way Malcolm was dealing with things. If the prophet is not right, the teaching is not right. I'm not gonna. That's right, Kyrie Wallace. Yep, dumb and blind. Yep, I'm not promulgating nothing because nobody said nothing. Because no man. I said I don't care what a man said. When I show you the 1099, there's no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. It's a religious affidavit, and it can be looked up. Anybody can get that information from the County of Cook Recorder of Deeds, the CCRD, and it was given to Sheik Love and Sheik Love is L in 2016, telling you that the 1099 is no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. I said that specifically. And then I read the state booklet, 2 chapters, and a person trying to say, well, you said the prophet didn't teach a trust. I didn't say the prophet didn't teach no trust. You can read it for yourself. But when I say, well, what trust you talking about? Because the trust that the prophet set up, which is the Moorish Science Temple, is a certain trust set up a certain way. And if it's any liquid assets, gold, silver, houses or things, it'll be registered a certain way. And I get a precedent in law. So if you don't have eyes to see that, something is wrong. And then people be butthurt when they say, well, this is not that, that's not this, and make up stuff and say, well, somebody say they don't know you. Man, I don't care what nobody say. Let's prove the facts. And the person that you say don't know me, why they name on my stuff? why they name on, if a person say they don't know me and this, not and the other, why they name is on my information? And I say, a temple don't make you right. Just because it's a temple, just because that, it don't make you right. The temple should be doing one thing and moving forward. And if anybody in the temple that sheiks, nobody should be doing nothing, leading people and burn the houses. I said if Moors don't pay taxes and they taxes them for the federal government, and people talking about all these numbers, why certain sheiks go to jail for having people file fake taxes in the millions? That's what I said. Because you can't deny how the prophet set the temple up. I agree people say things. I ain't disagreeing with that. People say a whole bunch of stuff. But when people be promulgating things and they be butthurt, I'd be like, what you butthurt for? Because the Moorish Science Temple is set up a certain way. And when somebody teach how the temple is set up, the things that you teach and go against what? How the temple is set up. And when people be saying, well, why is an individual name on said paperwork? Why is an individual name on said paperwork? That's why I'd be laughing, man. I'd be like, man, because people be promulgating bull crap. The stuff that they be will show you they ain't read it, because it goes against the stuff that they teaching. These is facts, man. These is facts. You can look at this yourself. Addresses. That ain't my handwriting. And this means nothing. Once again, I always say this stuff mean nothing, because if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. I always say, man, don't get caught up in no paperwork, just this and that and the other, like people being some paper terrorists. That's not what it is. When I tell people the 1099 is just a religious affidavit, you see that on the bottom, the 1099, Noble Kyrie Wallace, you see that on the bottom, the 10-9, the 10-10-5905, that's nothing but a religious affidavit. That's all that is a religious affidavit. and you can look that up. You can get an official document from the county of Cook recorder of deeds telling you that's nothing but a religious affidavit. You don't even have to do that. You can get it from me. You see what I'm saying? I'll send it to you right now, just like I did the brother that was on my page earlier, just in case. Somebody was on there talking like, this is they stuff from their temple. And then the brother, just in case, was like, well, he just sent it to me. Talk about I'm gatekeeping. Gatekeeping what? That people don't know what they doing and what they promulgating. And then everything that you say that you under, and this, not, and the other, what you teaching and what you promulgate is totally different than what you putting out there. You can't get mad at me. I've been teaching this stuff for years. And people be butthurt. Why? Because truth has no sides. People don't be having the true information. So it's truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Just like when I tell people about expatriation, I say, man, you don't expatriate from this so-called de facto government and then who you got affiliates with. You don't have to do a citizenship with no one. And then each year, oh, that's my mufti, Moso. And then each year I used to show the domestic terrorist list, foreign and abroad, and all them brothers be on there. So when people would be saying this and that and the other, I say, I show paperwork from the temple. And none of this mean nothing. But when people be professing things and saying this and that and the other, I say, okay, well, here you go. And I don't have to do this because it's the wisdom. It ain't none of this. Because I know other people, Europeans that ain't even part of the temple, that's know the science more than anybody because they not biased and they not holding information, which is public information from the temple. It's only one more science, Temple of America. So people be butthurt when things can be explained eloquently. And regardless if it's the temple or not, it still should be explained. I tell people the temple have 3 IDs. We have an ID card, a travel ID, and a membership ID. And we have a tax exempt ID number, ID on our card. These is facts. These is facts. So I don't know why people be promulgating things. Peace, Noble Malik. Like my homie said, yeah, we on TikTok too, yep. So I don't know why people be acting like they don't know. When people be saying, well, Noble Drew Ali set up a trust, I say, yes, a trust. How? How the temple is set up as a trust. If you read the state booklet, the type of temple, if you read it, if you have any understanding, if anybody have anything to disagree, because a lot of people don't understand the words, you know? And when we talk about a trust, yes, the Moorish Science Temple of America is set up as a certain type of trust. And if it was assets, anything attached to it, like property, land, anything of that, based off how the temple is set up, and I heard Revi Smith, the statutes that's in the state booklet, I gave precedent in law to be like, if there's any of that, that's where we would be located. So when you look that precedent in law or that doc number, you know it's nothing. Peace, babe. So that's all I'll be saying when people be professing this. And I said, clearly a person haven't never been to a discussion or oratorial or a lecture per se. What do you mean? If a person going over, say, the state booklet of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and that individual, say if he's not a part of the temple or nothing, and he's just a teacher, a professor, just like Spencer Dew that wrote the Aliyhites, you know, and he's going over the state booklet, how it's set up. And in that class of students, because they might be going over Noble Drew Ali, because this happened in academia, we had this discussion, and we go over things, how the prophet set the temple up. And then how can somebody, after that discussion, say, so you said the prophet didn't set up a trust? And the person said, where are you getting that from? What the teacher said is the 1099 is no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. It's a religious affidavit. But then we saying, if, which I agree that Noble Drew Ali taught a form of a trust, the form of a trust is the Moorish Science Temple of America. And then it's beneficiaries of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And then you have to know what type of trust the Moorish Science Temple is and the language. And then once you understand that, you have to agree. If not, then you operate on your own understanding. And that's just facts. And that's just understanding. So when you ask somebody, when they say, oh, Noble Drew Ali taught trust. And I say, I get that. It's 16 different trusts. So, but if you set up a trust, what's going to be in your trust? Because that's the next question I'm going to ask. Okay, I get that. So if it's a trust, this, that, and the other, with certain things, if you might be operate in the physical and not understanding the mental capacity of what the prophet wrote and what's already precedent, then I think it's a whole target that's being missed, because this not a court, this not a game. If it's a Moorish Zion temple in anybody area, anybody city, well, they should open arms and teach people their nationality and their spirituality. How? Based off how Noble Drew Ali set the Moorish Zion Temple of America up. If it's one, I thought the whole thing was to what? Save fallen humanity and teach people that they're not Negro, Black, and color and African Americans. I thought we were supposed to have a divine creed. A divine creed, and a divine comes first. A divine and a national movement. This is what I'm saying. So how can anybody get upset when things can be illuminated and we add value to? It behooves me, you know, when I'm able to operate in regular life and speak about things, and different nationalities know about Noble Drew Ali, like Peter Moon and all these different writers, the Sacred Drift, and all these other people in history wrote about the historicalness and the history and the movement and the liberation. But when it comes to so-called Moors today, everybody act like it's Crips and Bloods. Everybody act like they some different foreign this. And I say, you can profess whatever you want, but I promise you, I'm not teaching that. Law governs all events. So I tell people we can read today. Like this, what I tell people, this is not no In Living Color where you see my man in jail using all them big words and he in jail. This is not that. I always tell people, I said, this is not that. Like, this is no game. People out here playing ignorant, just spewing a whole bunch of law cases and all this that's out of jurisdiction, that's out of that's not even relevant to today. When people be talking about they canceling corporate debt, and I say, well, you don't have no corporate debt. All you hear more is talking about is some paperwork stuff, and you can file this and file that. And then when you ask these people with real facts, it's nothing. It's smoke and mirrors. It's on to the next. Ain't nobody want nothing, because that's not more science. That's begging, and a beggar nation can't save itself. No group of people done these things that you see these so-called Moors doing with all this different so-called paperwork. None of that. And if we say it's the Moorish Zion Temple of America, and people saying, well, this is facts, and when people always talk about a trust, and I always say, okay, well, sir, ma'am, what trust are you talking about? Well, you know the trust, the 1099. I say, well, see, that's not a trust. That's a religious affidavit. So people be mixing things, and we have to clear that up. Why? Because people are taught wrong. And so now when we just talk about illumination of law governs all events, when we talk about the upper echelon of the system of law, you know, the holy breath. And then that's book 2. Book 1 is the upper echelons, the hierarchical system of law. Book 2 is the holy breath of history. Book 3 is the seek ye first, the kingdom of heaven, the 7-book compilation. And I tell people, wisdom, we're supposed to be attached to wisdom and understanding and comparing and contrasting and getting this wisdom and moving forward. Not being stuck in a day talking semantics, debating. This is not no conscious community. This ain't one of these things where I'm going to debate someone. I'm not debating nobody over nothing that I already done been proven what it is. That's a waste of time. But I give high honors to Allah, Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honors to the Moorish American Muslims, Asiatics in the new era of time, those on the path, and honors to all nationalities and nations, praising the great God under their own vine and fig tree, and honors to whom honors is due. I just give a little small tittle. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. That's in your Holy Moorish Quran, chapter 35. What is it, verse 1? He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. he hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by its nature conform to his will. That's in your Moore's Quran, right? Verse 10, right? As a Moorish American, we are instructed to know thyself and Allah. And this is the law, the science of Moorish science, also known as knowledge of self and or the path or the way or life. And to accomplish such a lofty idea is to be what? On the path. Peace, Malik. Peace, Noble. Peace and love to y'all, man. And Islam, or peace, the divine instruction for all Muslims. Peace with God, man, nature, our surroundings, for a simplified understanding. And as a grand sheikh, meaning one proficient in the degrees of law, to understand the way, so as to further instruction, or to instruct, and to be of service to one's brothers and sisters and others on the path. Thus said, it is understood, the way is life, and life is the path of the law. But deeper still, being the very law, one comes to manifest, and all law is established in truth, which is the holy breath, Allah, all law. Truth is that which not changes. And the divine instructions for man, it is understood that in all the world is two things. There is one, truth, the other, falsehood. And falsehood is that which seems to be. Now truth is aught and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. And falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of right. Therefore, whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. That's in your Moore's Quran. What, chapter 7, verse 4 and 7? So when people talk about commercial law, in a nutshell, after you read chapter 1, 2, and 3, you should be able to explain, if you are able to see why what we're talking about and the quotes, how it explains the commercial law process. You know, when I say I can use the Moore's Quran for all this, why? Because it's there, the same way I can use the Bible. This is what I'm saying. A holy man, a God man can go anywhere and be who they are. Man, forget everything else. If we say law governs all events, man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are synchronized in us. And then they thrive and naught goes down. And man, as truth, abides per se. And in our Quran, chapter 7, 13 speaks of the public minister, the day star from on high, aka Jesus the Christ per se. And in the light of what I just said, the law is the unshakable pillars of truth, dispelling the darkness of falsehood, revealing the light to settle in peace. You know, what you say, much thanks to the teachers, my Lord. Gratitude to you, Nicholas. Gratitude to you, Nicholas Fleming, for the kind words, because that's how we should be operating, man. People be upset because when I bring things, it contradicts everything that they teach it. That's why. And laws for civilized governments, their religion, their science, their philosophy are grown out of this force of nature, and its natural development constitute by a prophet of Allah, one sent to deliver what? The law, and appoint those faithful to the truth, aka when we talk about trustees for the greatest development of its people to their highest potential, which is the nature of its source, that being what? Truth. And in essence, all true and divine laws come from Allah and due to the divine nature of Allah. The laws of Allah to man are to guide, to instruct to a perfect state of being and being peace itself. It is the need for civilized man to develop ways and paths to better comprehend true law, or the force more comprehensively understood the will of Allah, and institute civilizations that harmonize with the will. So when we talk about the Moorish Science Temple of America, The divine and national movement equals the kingdom of heaven, a religious body politic, a divine nation state. You know, it was our prophet said, established by the will of Allah through his holy noble Drew Ali that established this. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And people be upset when they come with the foolery, with this is a trust fund at the end of the rainbow, some 1099. I said, man, that's a religious affidavit, sir, ma'am. Like, why are we doing that? The things that people be doing is Roger Elvick stuff. Research what I'm telling you. And in the development of civilization, the will of Allah, which is love, truth, which is the law of all laws. The first law is second expression in the picking order of the law is natural law. Natural law is existence as it is, being what is, functions as it functions according to the laws, which make it what it is. So in this context, what I'm saying, so natural law is the given truth. It is the constancies that make existence able to be what it is. You know, when we talk about the science of epistemology, it teaches us that every age there is a milestone in the journey for the human race. And these milestones are developed through governments, aka the people, in harmony with what? The law. And we call these times the golden age. Remember the golden age of the Moors? We have science, philosophies, medicine, and we apply the law to these expressions of civilizations. And we all presuppose in these expressions that we are discovering and learning and being able to apply something that already pre-exists. Natural law is given truth. And when the law begins to emerge in human consciousness through observation and application, I like to call it supreme hika, because it must be applied, of natural law, thoughts, thinking, words, deeds, or actions in the natural order of evolution. You have what is the most fundamental of all human law. And the most fundamental of all human laws is the law of what? Economics, aka commercial law. See? Commercial law is the third law. It has to do with human survival, with human interactions of any kind, any relationship, buying, selling, trading, relating in any way, which gave rise to the fourth law, which is what? Moral law, or the law of family. Definition of moral law: a general rule of right living, especially such a rule or group of rules conceived as universal and unchanging, and as having the sanction of God's will, of conscience, of man's moral nature, or of natural justice as revealed to human reason. You see? You see? And next, which is overlooked a lot of times in most societies when understanding the applications of law, in its roots order, is the law of the family, or the law of nations, or the laws of one forefathers, the law of one vine and fig tree, which gave rise to the nations, or the AKA states, or the government laws to protect the family members against any other people, nations, or another family member. And the law of nations, or internal law, may be defined as what? The body of rules and principles of action, which are binding upon civilized states in their relation with one another. You see? Another way of seeing this is what? Nationality is the order of the day. You see? It's nothing to argue about. From this emerges what? Governments, which we call common law. Common law emerged in England around 1100 AD during the so-called Dark Ages, as the so-called Europeans called it. And in reality, it was during the Moorish rule in the lands of Albion, that the law was being revealed until their renaissance, so as to lead the second half of the Kali age until it was over with. And then common law was developed to resolve disputes over allodial land boundaries. It is the law of the land. So in its context, common law gave rise to the jury system and writs and processes which monarchy governments have absorbed into their ruleship and regulations and rules made in statutes and processes in courts. Common law is valid to the extent that it does not conflict with commercial law. You see? And from this, we get the 5 echelons, the hierarchical system of law. You got the law, or the will of Allah, or the law of the force. You got natural law, commercial law, moral law, law of nations. And then also a point to reference needs to be expressed for a lot of the adapt Moorish thinkers. The 5 hierarchy of law are in perfect oscillation with the 5 highest principles of law in our Moorish jurisprudence, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. See? Because 1, love equals what? The will of Allah, or the law of the force. Number 2 equals natural law. Number 3 is commercial law. Number 4 is freedom equals moral law. And the 5th one is justice, the law of family, law of nations. So if anybody know like mathematical like signs, so let me see, I don't even have no paper. Man. Okay, well, I'll try to explain it. Okay, so when you got love, this pen don't even write. When you got love, you got like, because it's a lot of symbology to it. You got after like 3 lines, right? And then when you have, and love is the will of Allah, or the law of the force. So when you got truth, you know how you go had a pi or the equal or less thing, and then the truth, you have it going this way with a line under it. That's natural law. Peace is the same way. Freedom is the same way. Justice is the same way. Watch this. Thus, the 5 high principles are the source code of law for all civilizations, which desire peace and can be expressed as a formula, which we call the source code formula, and or the justice formula, L times T, lowercase p, F equals J. What I'm saying is love times this and this, freedom and justice. And then you have the C with the 7. And brings deeper meaning to He, per se, Allah, has instituted law for the government of the world. You can read it in your Moorish Quran, 35, ayat 10. We shall discuss that later in a different book if I got time. Well, no, we ain't gonna get to that book because I'm gonna be done. I got like 30 more minutes. But commercial law, because of its nature, is the key that unlocks the doors. And understanding its application and process, excuse me, through state and government laws will give the checkmate remedy in law, and the principle and maxims and precepts of commercial law are eternal and unchangeable and unchanging. They are expressed in the Quran and the Bible, and it has remained unchanged for thousands of years, and it forms the underlying foundation for all law and government in the world, the law of nations, and everything that human civilizations is built on. And understanding law at this level by these processes, nothing that is of an inferior statute can overturn it or change it or abrogate it or meddle with it. It remains the fundamental source of authority and power and functional remedy. And there are 10 essential maxims of truth or precepts in commercial law. What are the 10? Okay, well, we remember the first of these expressed is in the Moorish Holy Quran. It's in your Quran. Cast not an evil eye on the goods of thy neighbor. Let whatever is his property be sacred from thy touch. Or the Old Testament of the people of the book in Exodus 20 and 15. Thou shalt not steal, which in terms of commercial law, a workman is worthy of his hire. And the second maximum of law is what? Equality before the law. Or more precisely, all are equal under the law, which can be seen expressed in our Moorish Quran in chapter what? 31, ayat 5. Defame him not in his character, bear no false witness against him. And so what I just showed earlier, when a person said, well, this, not this, they don't know this, or a person said they don't know you, then when I showed the facts, and I said, well, if they don't know this, why they name on that? You be destroyed. In a court of law, you will lose. In a court of law, a certain individual, you will lose. And that's what people have to say. And that's why I be telling you, people be having stuff to hide. The same way Malcolm came out of it. The same way I said, hey, if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. I don't put no faith in no man. That's why I have my own charter with my own brothers I love. Point blank. Also in Act 3, of the bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion. Because why? Allah is love. And when you falsely accuse somebody of something, you done for. And your credibility is shot. Because I told you, people be having motives, what? To confuse. When the truth seeker come and tell the truth, all the people that's not telling the truth, of course they're going to throw darts. But see, I'm a lion. I stand for what I believe, and I give my life for what I believe with no problem. And this ain't no gang banging. This wisdom. This is what I be telling people. This is wisdom. I'm an academia. I'm an elder. I'm a scholar. In real life, the rest of the stuff is meaningless to me. We have a temple in school of brothers and sisters. We men. And what this means is commercial law being founded on the unchanging principle of the law. And natural law is binding on everyone, which naturally creates the moral law enforced by the nation, the family, because it's binding on everyone's family and no one can escape it. You see? And the third maxim of law in commerce is the truth that's sovereign. Truth is sovereign. Truth is sovereign. The law of the force. We can see this maxim and other maxims expressed in our Moorish American prayer. What do you mean? Allah, the Father of the universe, which is the highest sovereign authority, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which is the source code of the law for the government of the world, law of the family. Allah is my protector and my God and my salvation by night and by day. All are equal under what? The law. Through his what? Workman, the Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. And the divine and national principles of the nation state by the founder, the map, is also an affidavit. And the sovereign tells the truth. Your word is your bond, aka our covenant. And when one is lost outside of his vine and fig tree, truth is not sovereign. In commerce, aka commerce meaning essentially every human action and interrelationship. And when the will of Allah is not sovereign, there would be no basis for anything. No basis for a law and order, no basis for accountability. There would be no standards, no capacity to resolve anything, because it means anything goes. Each man for himself, and nothing matters. Debased down to survival of the fittest. Money becomes one God. You see what happened when people start professing money becomes their God. So in commerce, truth is sovereign. The fourth maxim of commercial law is truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. So when people be signing these affidavits, I hope you basing it on truth, not what I heard, I got this, because not, now you're responsible for what? Everything. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. In commerce, an affidavit must coexist and underlay and form the foundation and responsibility for any commercial transaction whatsoever. There can be no valid commercial transaction without someone taking the risk and putting his commercial honor on the line and stated that this is true and correct in certain situation. When one issues an affidavit, you have engaged a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. And this affidavit may be a claim or a bill that you send to someone in due form. And it must say that they owe you something or some money or something else. Someone has to go, someone has got to take responsibility for saying, in fact, that this is a real situation. And this is why it's a real situation. You see, we're dealing with facts, not no games. So I'll give a scenario where point A, in commerce, if someone sends you a bill or assessment or something of that kind, they have tabulated the goods or services that they have provided for you with the amount of each in a booking ledger. They total it at the bottom. And this is the total amount you owe. This is called a true bill in commerce, unless there is a commercial affidavit, that is, proper commercial paperwork with somebody taking responsibility. There is no valid commercial transaction. And B, when you issue an affidavit in commerce, you get the power of the affidavit. You also incur the liability because there has to be a real situation. It has to be a real situation. Other people might be adversely affected by it. They may depend on it and go out and start factories and borrow money, etc. They may think that they have a true bill and have to send money. Someone now is gaining as a result of the affidavit. Affidavit change things in ways which could or would affect other people. This means whoever issued an affidavit in commerce has a liability for its veracity. And if what you say in your affidavit is in fact not true, then those who are adversely affected can come back to you with the claim for recourse that is justifiable. Why? Because you lied. You have told a falsehood as though it were the truth, and people have depended on it, and then they have lost because of your lie. The fifth maxim of commercial law is an unrebutted affidavit stands as the truth in commerce, meaning claims are made, and if they go unchallenged, what? They emerge as the truth in the matter. So there is a presumption in commerce that Asiatic people, aka our Negro, Black persons, a second-class citizen per se, which is like saying a stateless person or a refugee. And if this is affirmed by the so-called Asiatics through his or her words and deeds and actions and ignorance of the law of family, this is no excuse. And if unrebutted, the affidavit, aka what's on your birth certificate, Negro, Black, and color, that state such shameful and notorious deficits, then he, she are subject of that so-called status. And that status mean those things that what are synonymous to slaves. When people talk about a status correction and people be missing what I be saying, why? Because you're not in the divine. You're missing everything that I'm saying. And the prophet makes a plea to the nations, an affidavit of proclamation on nationality issued by a duly qualified and verified, appointed and anointed and considered sheik and consecrated sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America can rebut such a presumption in law by you proclaiming your nationality and religion and allegiance to the divine and national principles in a public meeting among the political community. And the declaration is made. And such a declaration is the first affidavit to be used with others to repudiate such a prima facie evidence. And the sixth maxim of commercial is what? An unabridged affidavit becomes what? The judgment in commerce, meaning there is nothing left to resolve. All you got to do when you look at our authority and the back of our 101s, the stuff be there. The seventh maxim of commercial law is in commerce, for any matter to be resolved, it must be what? Expressed. The science of proclamation. But this is a new era of time, and all men now must do what? Proclaim their free national name in the government in which you live and the nations of the earth. This means no one is a mind reader. You have to put your position on the line. You have to state what the issue is to have someone resolve it. And this is what I tell people. You have to state the issue. And when I be using pun and people be missing it, and I be like, oh man, I just need the application to do this. You don't got to say nothing. You just need the application. You add your suffix to this. Boom, done deal. If you want to take a picture with license with your fez and turban on, if the person at the counter ain't nobody, they just work there. And if they say something, they violate your religious rights. You can take your driver's license, anything, your passport with your fez or your turban on. And having your fez or your turban on don't make you no Moroccan. There is an ancient principle in Mosaic law, aka Canaanite law, that whosoever leaves the battlefield first loses by default. And in commerce, it is that an affidavit, which is unrebutted point for point by another affidavit, stands as truth in commerce because it has been rebutted, which leads to the eighth maxim of commercial law. He who leaves the battlefield first loses by default. So in this context, governments and all of their laws and processes is to do what? Resolve disputes and to resolve conflicts between what? Affidavit of truth. So if I'm breaking this down and I'm teaching this, how can somebody get, or he said he's with this, a person be like, man, what are you talking about? He's giving a dissertation. He's breaking things down so you can have a clear understanding. So nobody can come to you with no mumbo jumbo anymore. The ninth maxim of commercial law is what? Sacrifice is the measure of credibility. No willingness to sacrifice, no liability, responsibility, authority, or measure of conviction. The 10th maxim of law is a lien or a claim can be satisfied only through what? Rebuttal by affidavit, point for point, resolution by a jury or a payment. Y'all got to know this. On our ID, like I said, we honor all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. May the blessings of God, Allah, be upon all card members and everyone else that's a truth member that don't have to have a card. It ain't about that. I hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Quran of Mecca, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But after we break that little tittle down, you can see the dynamics of what I said and the points of authority and maxims of commercial law. And even the affidavit, when you analyze and break down the statement in terms of dynamics of a contract, what part of the statement above deals with what laws? Is it private law? How and why? If it is, what part is regulating, obligating, etc., and so forth? Have your answers been studied? Or did you go over these answers and are they correct? Because this is elementary wisdom. You know, that's all. So when we talk about you can construct a defense after doing these things, you could be able to you should be able to construct a legal argument, an affidavit to win a case. Can you? Most people be like, nope, and I'd be like, I know. You should be from learning in book 1 when I teach. What maxim of law would you use to start your case or action? And you should be able to use the examples that I gave of an affidavit to help construct a case. And the person have all the information to construct a winning action if you operate in the right manifestation, if you haven't broken no laws. Now watch this. Let me see. Oh, we got a little bit more time. A little bit of adapt science when I talk about affidavits. An affidavit, when properly used, especially when leveraged by your status as a free national citizen, stay with me, is the most powerful instrument available defending, protecting, and asserting your national citizenship, your rights. Think about it. For this reason, it is incumbent upon you to become practiced in its use and your ability to recognize it, the many different forms. If you are unable to recognize when affidavits are being solicited, you may be unwittingly duped of other parties attempting to create a binding contract, and you don't even be understanding this. When you, at this time, look into the understanding of contracts, affidavits, and the laws that govern them into today's commercial world, it will help you see that the applications that the affidavit is applied in its many forms. And contracts are classed under business law, which is private law. And so when I talk about private law, is that part of substantive law governing individuals, nationals, and the legal entities. Remember, when people get caught up in that 14th Amendment citizen known as persons, and the lawyer will tell you that persons is nothing, they're just changing you from ownership. Black people, Latinos, colored people, African Americans, white persons, and corporations in their relations with one another. Substantive law creates, defends, and regulates legal rights and obligations, thus the rules of contract law that determines when a binding contract is formed are rules of substantive law. Procedural law set forth the rules for enforcing those rights that exist by reason of the substantive law. Thus, procedural law defines the method by which to obtain a remedy in court. So when we talk about public law, is that branch of substantive law that deals with the government rights and powers and its relationship to individuals or groups. Public law consists of constitutional law, administrative and criminal law. And by the signature of your hand at the legal age to contract 18 years old per se, or before you become legal age, the signature of your parent or the authorities such as a physician have been signing you into this so-called bondage since you were born mostly through ignorance. Everybody have a birth certificate, an application for a driver's license, IRS 1040 form, enrollment for college and all this, voter registration. Everybody do. Every single document that's modern commercial system requires others to be bound or obligated by, is or requires what? An affidavit. A ticket is an affidavit when you have to sign. A so-called marriage license in the affidavit, a contract. Seeing this with the eye of the spirit, one's actions, one's deeds, words, and thoughts are all an affidavit. And karma is the rebutted or unrebutted affidavit in one's life, standing as truth in commerce. So now on with the academic. When signed, they represent an oath or commercial affidavit executed under penalty or perjury, true or correct and complete. Affidavits also occur in a court settings where testimony, aka oral, is stated in judicial terms by being sworn to be the truth, the aka will of Allah, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So what I'm saying, in the light of integrity, you should test yourself to see if you comprehend the supra by matching the few preceding statements that we was talked about earlier to the 10 maxims of commercial law. Like, of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. To tell a lie is to go against the mind. He who fails to assert his rights has none. He who does not repel a wrong when he can occasions it. He who does deny, admit. And as a point of authority on an affidavit, no court or judge can overturn or disregard or abrogate somebody's affidavit. The only one who has the right or responsibility or knowledge to rebut your affidavit is the one who is adversely affected by it. Just as no one can know what your truth is, it is that affected party's responsibility and obligation to issue their own affidavit and to speak on their own behalf. You see? Commercial law is prejudicial. It established the basis for keeping your matters in the private, which is non-judicial or prejudicial, aka when people be saying without prejudice. It is the only foundation by which governments or any court system can possibly exist or function. All that courts are ultimately adjudicating and making rules about are the fundamental precepts of what? Commercial law. And commercial law processes are non-judicial. They are summary processes without a jury. With all disrespect, because it just is. And in commerce, there are two phases, assessment and what? Collection. The assessment aspect is about what? Determining who owes who, what, why, how much, and for what reason. And the collection aspect is based in what? Internal commerce that has existed more than thousands of years. It's based on, well, I won't say based on the Jewish ancient Canaanite law, but we can say that, and the Jewish grace period. We just using that for speaking point, which is unites of the 3 days, the 3 weeks, and the 3 months. This is why you get 90-day letters from the billers when things come from things. And without the knowledge of self, of knowing thyself and Allah, which is the law of the family, which directly ties you to the nationality, Asiatics or these 14th Amendment citizens who don't know the rules, nor use them. They don't know what the game is, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to invoke their rights, their remedies, and resources. And most get lost in the cares of the world, doing everything under the sun except the one and only thing that is the solution to their overall problems, which is based in law. No one is going to tell you what to do or the solution other than your family and your forefather, and one sent from among your enlightened to the knowledge of self, ordained from the great God. The Holy Quran of Mecca, Surah 14:4. Such a one was our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And we have brothers today in the flesh. I'm not a martyr. People don't have to like me, but we're going to teach this science. In this formal expression, an affidavit is a statement of facts that chronicle the events of a particular commercial or legal matter, reducing to writing and sworn to or affirmed before a person legally authorized to administer an oath or affirmation, such as a what? A notary. The person making the statement is technically known as the affiant or the what? Deponent. The affidavit usually contains statements that you can attest to based on your firsthand knowledge, and may also contain statements based on the observations of others. If you indicate this by adding the information is based on your information and belief. This is why people be butthurt, because what they be talking about goes everything what can be researched. You may sometimes see affidavit title and referred to as an affidavit of truth or affidavit of facts. And this is informal and redundant. All affidavits are about the truth and facts. And I can give some definitions and types of affidavits and definitions for declaration. Since this is used in definition for affidavits, people love the Black Laws Dictionary and all this. Now, okay, well, we can break it down. Here we go. Affidavit, a written or printed declaration or statement or fact made voluntary and confirmed by the oath or affirmation of the party making it, taken before a person having authority to administer such an oath or affirmation. Then you got affidavit of a defense. And then you have affidavit of inquiry, affidavit of marriage, affidavit of notice, affidavit of service, affidavit to hold a bail, declaration. And the declaration at common law answers the libel in the ecclesiastical and admiralty law, the bill in equity, the petition in civil law, the compliant is used in the federal courts and in all states that have adopted rules of civil procedure. I'm telling you. So I just wanted to give a little highlights of things because it's so much that can be shared with our brothers and sisters, like the affidavit of notice and articles of religion. It's so much that can be shared with brothers and sisters, but I don't want to just stay in these things because it's nothing new under the sun. Okay, let me see. I may have another one. Yep. Well, no, I don't want to. I'll give a little bit of this one. I think I put this one away for us. Hold on, I think I did. I think I put this one away for everybody. Yep, I did. Okay. I'll give a little as we close. I got a couple minutes as we close. I'll just give a little introduction of the I, the self, the law, and master, just some symbology before we get out of here. And then I'll break a little bit of it down and we about this piece. So when we talk about the crescent and the star, the eye of Islam, the matter of the crescent and the star or the flag with the moon and the five-pointed star in the center, is the insignia of the Asiatic or the Moorish nation, is the mother of all national banners of the world. It's the oldest. The flag with the Moorish crescent, and the star represents the entire human family. When reading or writing in any language, there are only two principal directions in which one may go: lateral, crosswise or across, and or vertical, up and down. All other movements in any other direction are just varying degrees of the main two. And when reading the meaning of the crescent and the star, no matter from which direction one reads, the moon is always first and is read in the following manner: from left to right, moon and star; from right to left, moon and star; from top down, moon and star; from bottom up, moon and star. Latin and its many dialects are read from what? Left to right. Arabic, Hebrew, and the Sanskrit are read from right to left. Japanese and Chinese are read from top down. Thus, the moon, the great female principle, can be shown to be the generator of all the apparent phenomena known to man in any language. The three meanings of moon and star: moon and sun, the S, the U, N, as moon and sun, the crescent and star represents both the so-called negative, the magnetic force, and the positive, the electric force, aka woman and sun. As woman and sun, the crescent and star symbolize the great universal woman, the universal womb or matter in its most elementary state, which generates or produces all forms, visible or invisible. These forms are the sun principle to balance the woman. You know, and we get the analogies when people talk about masonry, when they talk about a widow's son and blah, blah, we get that, but I don't want to talk about that. The moon or crescent represents the woman, the AKA widow context, or the female principle. In mythology, the moon was personified by the Greeks as a goddess, AKA Luna. Luna is the Latin word for moon. The ancients associated fertility, growth, and decay with the lunation phase. The moon factor is the mediator between the past and the present, accumulating the whole story of man's personal evolution within the fluids of the brain and the body. The moon establishing an essential rhythm in the body, an instinctive mind, as an ebb and flow of sensation and emotional experience. The moon is connected with the deepest association of one's family and ancestors, especially your mom or the mother per se. Powerful mother-child relationships begin in the womb. Hence, the moon indicates the mother complex. The star or sun represents the male, the sun principle. In mythology, the sun was personified as the all-pervading creative power in nature, or the masculine principle. And these two principles are represented in Genesis as Adam and Eve. These twin souls are the absolute expression of masculine and feminine rays of which absolute atomic self is composed. The masculine rays contain a portion of self forces, and the feminine rays must likewise contain a portion of the positive qualities. This is the principle of gender. When I talk about the seven Kemetic principles, these souls therefore contain a portion of each other. They constitute the sun and the moon of the self-creation. This principle of gender is one of the seven Kemetic principles. And when these rays become differentiated, they are still as eternal and immortal as the self which called them into existence, family. And they constitute the divine idea of a parent. And as such, they become the divine expression of what? Love and wisdom upon this earth plane. We almost done. The ancient seems to think all souls coming into their first human incarnation take it in the sign of Cancer. This sign has been recognized through the ages as the doorway into life of those who must know death. Its opposite, Capricorn, esoterically is known as what? The doorway into life of those who know not death. Cancer is the symbol of the womb or the universal mother. On some ancient Egyptian tablets, the moon and the sun principles are astrological written and esoterically interpreted. The sun is symbolized as a flaming splendor, a center of light, radiating in all directions. It is the symbol of all created life, spiritual and material, of all goodness, human and divine, of all creations, from starry systems to man. Light is life. The planets are the offsprings of light and life. Mankind is the offspring of light and life. And in this symbol, we read the source of the human ego. Another tablet depicts the symbol of Cancer, which is the moon. And here, Cancer is typified by a woman's face, unconscious, in a trance surrounding by clouds. This dreaming woman represents reflection because her thoughts shape the coming of man. She is sleeping and knows not her power. She must awaken and recognize herself. And in this, the great lesson to the woman, ever remember thy creative power as the mother of humanity, of the future. The sun in thy mansion exerts its highest powers. And still another tablet of the same set depicts Leo, or the masculine principle of the sun exerted on the physical. And here we have the symbol of the fire, of the spirit. The woman sleeps and dreams, but the man she has brought forth is awake and bids defiance. That's why we always say the son always does the bidding of the mother. To the fiery forces of nature, he has armed himself with the keen knife of action, and with it has conjured the forces of matter. Thus he has mastered all forces inferior to spirit. This can account for the aggressiveness of male sons and their active fighting nature. The woman is passive and retiring. And the last degree of Cancer, which is water, merge into Leo, the strong throne of the sun. It is typically of fruitification. And during the heated term, this renders Virgo, and the sign which Leo merges or goes into, fruitful for harvest in due time. Therefore, Cancer is the clear and pure water sign, and the favorite house of the moon, which rules number 1 is the human mind, number 2, conception, and number 3, the water. Therefore, the moon's strong place is Cancer, and the sun's strong place is Leo. And these astrological principles are followed by what? Human sign Virgo, or celestial virgin. You see this analogy? Whose seed fruitified and quickened. The water or mistral of nature was vitalized by the sun's rays. This caused the fruit or harvest to mature. Thus, the moon and the sun principle can be seen in the stars as well as in nature. You see this connection? Now remember, my brothers and sisters of the cloth, in Freemasonry, the brethren of that order are called what? Sons of a widow, who are in need. Indeed, it is stated that in the Bible that Hiram Abiff, in Greek, it is Shiram or Shiram Abiff, the master builder of Solomon's temple, On's temple, was the son of a widow. Now the word Solomon is composed from 3 languages: Latin, sol, or solus for son, Sanskrit, A-U-M, or O-M, and Ethiopic, O-N. The woman is a widow because she has no husband, and all children entered the earth by the way of the woman. She is the great creator, one who can build a temple, aka body, without the sound of a hammer or the use of a nail. Solomon was ordered to do what? Build the temple without the sound of human hammer, tabernacle built without hands. Hiram represents the fire or the sun principle within man, right? And naturally, the spiritualized mind with the fire principle must do the work of forming and shaping this temple. It is built without the sound of hammers within the negative spirit of the widow. Hiram represents the positive physical intellectual principle, The widow represents the so-called negative spiritual intellectual principle. And the early Semites, aka, which people like to say Hebrews per se, we that say that for speaking reference, regarded the principal deity of each oasis as a goddess. When we talk about Mami Watas, you know, yeah. When we talk about the Sibyls, the Vatican know what I'm talking about. The Catholic Church know what I'm talking about, with all respect. A goddess and the next important deity as her son. The goddess appears to have been the spirit of the spring, which gave the oasis its fertility and was consequently thought to reside in the spring. The sons appears to have been regarded as the spirit of the vegetation, and spring can be correlated to other things. So when y'all see this stuff, man, you are the supreme manifestation of the number 9, which is I. And to prove it, like you are the number 1, the normal childbirth takes place after what? 9 months. Man's average heartbeat is what? 72 times per minute. Man's average step is what? 3 feet. 12 times 3 equals 36 inches. The moon goes through 4 phases per month. 4 times 9. 9 months of gestation equals 36 months. We have now proved that you are a supreme manifestation. And then the following 4 phases of the moon capsule that prove the moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and the last quarter. Even we talk about the so-called pyramid, the S of Islam. The pyramid is the second symbol of Islam. The apex at the top indicates that man essence is spirit. If the apex were pointed down, the triangle would represent matter. The 3 equal sides of the triangle symbolize, in universal terminology, the positive, the negative, and the offspring, or the union of the 2 male-female principles. And on top of the pyramid is the all-seeing eye, which stands for I in you. The glory or light at the top of the pyramid symbolizes knowledge, wisdom, and light. However, the capstone of the Great Pyramid on the back of the dollar bill is not connected to its base because the masses of humanity are ignorant of their essence, which is spirit, their history, and their heritage. And man's status in the world is controlled by those who know. And consequently, his status is determined by the quality of his own thinking. He who knows all that can be known by intellectual energy is a god among men. The men who control the political and economical system of the world are the ones who have capped their pyramids. Ignorance has kept mankind in darkness and in grief. But no man should grieve, for grief is the most serious of all diseases. Nature prevents man to do anything he desires. He is limited only by his own ignorance, his own laws and customs. The pyramid is an example of perfect orientation. It is self. The pyramid is also built upon a square, just as man is born on the square. The square base is a constant reminder that the house of wisdom is firmly founded upon nature and her immutable laws. The angles of the square are silent, profundly intelligent, and truth. They also represent the externaments of of heat and cold, south and north, light and darkness, east and west. You must remember, man is a fourfold unit concerning the elements of his own constitution. And the earth, fire, air, and water are one of the fundamental keys to the mystery of the Great Pyramid. When I show y'all, when you're looking at a pyramid from up top, if you in a helicopter and you over, if I show you the figure of the pyramids, the apex with a view from up top, you're gonna see a certain figure. And I can say a square, line down that there, line down that middle. And I can say water, fire, earth, air. Then I can show you a side view, will look like a triangle, the apex. It'll look similar like this. It'll look like this. It'll look like this. You see? You see, when we're dealing with wisdom, field enclosed by the basic lines of the four ideographs is an equilateral square base of the pyramid, and the apex or the center is the all-seeing eye, or the psychic, or the star of the east. The pyramid can be linked to the universe and the capstone to man. The mind is the capstone of man. The spirit is the capstone of the mind, and God is the epitome of the whole, or the capstone of the spirit. And the temple is complete only when the person himself or herself becomes the living apex through which the divine power is focused into the diverging structure below, mind over matter. And the majority of humanity's eyes are closed. And when the eyes are open, the conscious and subconscious will be fully aware of what each is doing. And at this stage, the human body or the temple can regenerate. And the exact science of human regeneration is called the lost key in masonry. You know, we almost done because I said I can do with the L, I got the A and the M, and I'm out of here. And even when you look at the compass and the square with the G in the middle, so the L of Islam, the ancient Moors were navigators. Moors mean navigator of the seven seas, guided by the North Star. And in order to navigate, they use a compass and a square. It was on your elementary pencil. A compass has 32 points. 3 times 2 equals what? 5. Life. This instrument was used as a way of life for the Moors. The compass was an instrument used to draw circles, and the 2 legs embodied the idea of a male force meeting a female force at a what? An angle. And this angle is measured in different planes. The right hand of a man is the executive or the positive. So the right leg of the compass was taken to signify the positive force. The left hand of the man is receptive. So the left leg of the compass was taken to do what? Represent a negative force. You see? And in ancient masonry, the union of zodiacal motion and declination was symbolized by the union of the compass and the square. The square placed below is typically of the purely physical union of the sexes. In astrology, the inharmonies aspects of each constitute a portion of the square or angle of 90 degrees, semi-square, square, sequi square, and double square or opposition. And the right angle has been used from time to time as the symbol of discord and strife. It becomes a fitting emblem, therefore, of man and woman when united from purely selfish and carnal motive. It thus represents the result of the ignorance so prevalent in the present day, the matrimonial system. In conclusion, family, the square represents the following, and I quote: a man and his 4 essences, spirit, mind, soul, body, as something to build on, because all solid foundations have what? 4 corners. A square also, the angle formed by the positive, the stationary male, the leg of the compass, and the receptive, the movable female leg, is less than a right angle. It should, it should approximate 60 degrees, which is the sextile or the 6 of creation. The sextile is used to denote harmony and joy. The letter G in this context, it typifies the generation of offsprings as a result of physical union. But in order that these, progeny may be endowed with soundness of body and mind, and thus become a blessing to their parents and the human race, the ancient Masons taught that there must be a higher union in addition to the physical, as indicated by the compass that we talking about, the compass and square. I'll show it, but I'm gonna break some more stuff down. I can't draw, but just get it in your head, which is spiritual. The spiritual as well as the physical laws must be obeyed. And so diagrams various spirit matter relations with regard to the compass and the square as man's final triumph as spirit over matter. So I just have to show y'all figures, and all the figures mean something, but I have to show y'all later, but I got to speed it up because I got to get out of here. My phone is going off. I got to call my peoples, my baby. But the presence of the right angle triangles in a figure that I'm going to show y'all later is of important symbology. For the right angle triangle have been used from remote times to symbolize spirit and matter and their inclusiveness. And when an angle is shown with its points upward, it signifies spirit or the celestial. Reverse with the pointing downwards, it indicates matter or earth. And in masonry, however, the compass replaces the upper triangle. And in figures, I'm gonna show y'all the two ends of the spiritual right angle are below those of the material, so that they indicate spirit's complete submerge in matter and the temporary triumph of matter over spirit. And in another figure, 5, which we call it, I'm gonna show you more light. For one arm is above the square. In other words, one arm of our spiritual right angle is over the corresponding arm of the material right angle, indicating the gradual emergence of spirit from matter. And then in another figure I'm gonna show y'all, because I gotta go faster. The triumph of spirit over matter, both arms of the spiritual right angle are over both arms of the material right angle. Not only has further light been given, but in the triumph of spirit over matter, or the flesh, all the light that can be conferred on a master has been awarded the proficient neophyte. And this symbol not only indicates the triumph of spirit, but it resurrects ascent and dominion over all material conditions. And the union of the compass and the square form a diamond, the hardest and most precious of stones. And with the G in the center, it is the diamond of the rough. And when ground and polished, it becomes a diamond without a blemish. And the God within this becomes manifest. This condition is symbolically represented by the so-called Hebrew letter, Jod-Heva, or Yahweh, within the compass and square. And to accomplish this, one must master the physical, which may be done scientifically or spiritually. Therefore, before the polished jewel, aka Jew per se, can appear, there must first be the stone in the rough. Moreover, do not reject the stone because of the G. The G shows the initiate, the path he must take. Accept it as it is found, but seek to learn the laws of the workmanship governing its transformation from an unsightly pebble into a shining gem. And in masonry, the G represents geometry. Mass has what? 4 divisions, which are algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. Geometry is the universal law of perfection, the science of which the culture Moors we always had, and which will always be in the hands of the kinky-haired descendants of Africa, with all respect. Therefore, Moorish nations of African American descent, misnomer, can't be destroyed. So when we talk about the 6-pointed star per se, the and of Islam as I close, the physical perfect man or adapt possesses and is master of 7 physical senses, 7 psyches, 7 senses, 7 states of consciousness. The number 7, denoting completeness or physical life, indicates readiness for what? Transition to a new octave or endeavor. In this context, the so-called 6-pointed star of the Moorish nation is referred to as the so-called Jewish Star of David. And let it ever remind you that the divine so-called unity is reflected within you. Matter, when you got one part of the triangle upside down, then you put the other one on top. And that the lower triangle must be lifted up until it balances the upper and forms the so-called 6-point star. Your life interlaced with the divine. The upper triangle represents woman on the spiritual plane, the north node or a nod, or a node per se. The north gate and the summer season. The lower triangle represents man on the physical plane, family. The south pole or Kahod, the south gate and the winter season. Thus, these two triangles are what? Now perfectly balanced, giving us the six-pointed star, or a symbol of what? Equilibrium of spirit and matter. And they truly denote the existence of but one creator who is perfectly expressed in both the visible and the invisible world, family. As above, so called below, is what these triangles say. And these two interlaced triangles are sometimes referred to as what? The two tables of stone. You see, the sixth sign, which is the Virgo, is what? 180 degrees and covers what? The last month in the summer season. And this is referred to what? In the mystical religion and the secret orders as the land of Nod, or the North Gate, or the North Pole per se. The positive North Pole's electric current flows to the so-called negative South Pole. The six-pointed star, sometimes called the Seal of Solomon, is mentioned by Paul in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 38, or I like to say ayat 38 to 45. And he describes the two realms which explain the as above, so below principles. Often the so-called Star of David has a G and a 7 in it, in the Ori triumph of matter over spirit. And when I show y'all different symbols, because I don't have time, when I can tell you when I break certain how you see the Masonic symbols, and there's certain ways how one line be over the other and this, that, and the other, all these things mean something. For one arm is above the square. In other words, one arm of a spiritual right angle is over the corresponding arm of the material right angle, indicating the gradual emergence of spirit from matter. And then in another figure, I'm going to show y'all later, both arms of the spiritual right angle are over both arms of the material right angle. Not only has further light being given, but in the triumph of spirit over matter, or the flesh, all the light that can be conferred on a master has been awarded the proficient neophyte. This symbol not only indicates the triumph of spirit, but it resurrects, it ascends, and dominion over all material condition. And the union of the compass and the square form a diamond, the hardest and most precious of stones. With the G in the center, it's the diamond in the rough. And when the ground is polished, it becomes a diamond without a blemish, and the God within then becomes manifest. And this condition is symbolically represented by those letters that I gave y'all. Right? All these figures, when you see one part of the so-called 6-point star and it comes together, you got one triangle, another triangle, you put it together. Remember, the G stands for geometry, or Gian. The 7 stands for law, the 7 rungs of the ladder of the 7 Kemetic principles. The interlaced triangles signify the true and creator reflecting in his creation. The unity of nature is the lot, wrote Eliseus Levi, a transcriber. Remember, the trinity of man is the key that fits it. The two trines signify the 6 creative groups, the 6 power in nature, the 6 plane of consciousness, of evolution, the 6 principles of man. All of the principles are synthesized into the 7th principle. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, man, and I'll give y'all this conclusion. The supreme triangle, the white triangle pointed upward, symbolizes Siva, fire, light, celestial power, and also the divine unity in man, ever evolving upward after its incarnation in matter, seeking more expression on a higher level. The reflection, the so-called black triangle pointing downward, symbolizes dark waters of chaos in which the divine germ is laid, and also the instability of man's lower nature. When you hear our benediction and our noble Alonzo say, and even a part of our portion is inconstancy, it's still a part of us that's divine, as unstable as water. In conclusion, The woman has 12 outlets in her body, of which 9 are above the navel in the north gate, and 3 below the navel in the south gate. Man has 9 outlets in his body, 7 of which are above the navel in the north gate, and the other 2 below the navel in the south gate. And the last one, as I close, will be the M. When you see your circle, line down the middle, line down the middle. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 per se, and that's say you put 3, 3, 3 in one, 3, 3, 3 in one, 3, 3, 3 in one, 3, 3, 3 in another one. Follow me. So the crossified so-called zero zodiac circle is the last principle of Islam. It is the mark of the master. It signifies that when one has completed the 360 degrees of learning on one level, he or she must now embark on the first degree of the next. The quarter circle denotes the division of matter into both visible and invisible, animate and inanimate, and organic and inorganic states. The lower half, that is, however, the upper divided half represents spirit divided into the physically, the visible and invisible, the higher planes. The master symbol also represents the 4 seasons, the 4 directions, north, south, east, west, the 4 quarters or essence of man, the 4 quarter of the dollar system, the 4 lunar phases. The 4 lunar phases are of great significance as represented by the 5th principle of Islam, because they have the most powerful influence upon all terrestrial life, as second only to the vitalizing influence of the sun. The moon exerts more power on Earth because it's closer than any other planet, and the last quarter is the strongest. When the moon is full, it is closest to the Earth and has an adverse effect on the lower nature of man. Remember, Luna is also the fastest planet in this part of the universe, for it takes only 28 days to make its orbit around the Earth. Also, the power exerted on women is exhibited through Luna. The 4 quarters of the master symbol, 90 times 4 equals what? 360 degrees. And the number 9, the number of man. Every man is born on a square. The babies lie on a 90-degree angle in a woman's womb from conception to birth, and is gestation for 9 months, which is supreme manifestation. Mathematics and the principle of Islam, the number 1 represents the brown man. So I'll just stop right there, man. I wanted to give you all that little bit of wisdom. I've been going for, what is it, an hour and 30 minutes. Yep, I would like to stop right there, because all these people, they started off talking about the Zodiacus, the Moabite nation, the woman, the Zodiacus, Zeudiakus, from which the name zodiac, zoology, biology, the sources of evolution upon the physical, mental, and spiritual plane of life. That's what all this come from. And that's what people start off. That's how people got people attention, you know? And then it went to some totally different. It went to these people talking about, oh, they can do this. It went to conscious community. It went to people, a money grab. And then now it's just done turned into some crazy on social media. And everybody say they profess this, and it's all paper terrorist stuff. And it's just a sad day. And so with that, I'm going to keep it positive. I'm going to always give you things to compare to, but truth has no size. There's not no Crips and Bloods with me. As we travel, we here to uplift fallen humanity. We're here to bring brothers and sisters to education and understanding and build something. That's where I'm at with my wisdom. So once again, if anybody need anything, y'all know how to hit me up. Y'all got my email address. Once again, I give gratitude to all my muftis, been with me for years. We're going on years, 6, 7, 8 years, but I've been knowing my brothers for longer than that, and everyone from all different parts of the world. So I give my brothers that's on here right now, Malik, who else is on here? On my YouTube page, Noble Malso, Noble Nicholas Las Fleming from Trinidad and Tobago. That's on my YouTube channel. Peace and love. Who else on the YouTube? My Noble Mayat. Noble Kai Wallace, peace and love to you. My Empress, LaShawn, peace. My cousin Cam, peace. And CCQC, peace and love. And I'm glad CCQC said good reading, because this is what I be telling people. You can't be a gatekeeper when I give people wisdom, things to read. It's like if you come into a lecture. If I give you the state booklet to read and you be like, ooh, people been lying. If I give you the letter from the CCRD, the county clerk, a recorder of deeds, telling you that the 1099 is no trust fund at the end of the rainbow, nobody can be upset. It's what it is. It's there for your face to have. And that's what's happening. So peace, CCQC. Peace to everybody else on here that be operating a certain way and they don't want to say who they are, but they be on my page every week. I'm still going to come with love. I know what be going on. I know what be going on with everybody on my page. I know what be going on with people be hustling women and all that stuff. I know everything that be going on with love. Certain people be on my page every week, you know, but I'm still going to keep doing what I'm saying with love. And they still keep doing the same thing with all due respect. Peace Solution, peace, what that say? K Witness Soul in Maine, if I'm saying that right. Peace, Solve G. I don't know if I said that right. Peace, Deacon Godman. Peace, number 22506. And somebody, y'all start giving y'all handle name. And I don't want to be reading off this 2256. I think it's Rob MC 619. Peace, Ice Levant. Peace, Shay, if I'm saying that right. Peace, Jazzy. Peace, Vincent Smith. Peace, Eric Hutton. Peace, Dark Matter. Peace, Pumpkin or Pumpkin Rain, if I'm saying that right. Peace, Planet Base. Peace, Ant Live from the 9. Peace, OC. Peace, Royal God. Peace, Bayfall. Bayfall, you hear all the time. Peace and love to you, Noble. Much love. Rude Commentator. Violet. Beverly. McGon. Am I saying it? Cecile, Dove, Jr., Kenneth, Comedian Tato, Empress Soy Sauce. Peace of love to you, Empress Soy Sauce. User 5206. Peace Melvin. Peace Alan Rollins. Peace Nobody. Peace Kim K. Peace Colleen. Peace Amori. User 4409. Peace Ant-Man. Mr. Stevenson. Man, I can't go through all these, man. William, Nyan, Zazilla. People we got having some handles. Queen Mika, Ami Nike, Stephanie Walker, 313, Lou Jack, Ladybug Love, PPPP, Burton, Zeddy. That's a lot of people. The Lucid World, Peace and Love, User 33561. Look at all these people. User 3356, Glenn Rogers, Spence, TT, Ant-Man, Peace Ant-Man, Trading Places, Catherine Steele, Brody, Jimmy, Kaya, Mystic Noble, Rudy Scott, Badal, Reggie, User 339, Kelvin Derrick, Juan Sperlin Jr., C. Sonder, Noreen Carl, User 6034, JC DeGod, T. Lee, BB, Carol Pitts, Henry, Z, whatever that means, User 37159, Terrence Chamber, man, is there more? Kenneth Marlin, Ricky, Tony, Felton, Diane, Ricky, Gary or Garvey, King Sosa, Don Fly, Samson One Song 3, Listen More, Julius, Mystic City Nail, George Seymour, Butter, Troublesome. Did I say I Am Rhythm of Remedies? Curtis Wright, Miss Brown, Yoski, The OA, Mystic Peace, Empress TF, peace and love and light to you, Divine 9, peace, love, and light to you, Empress. Spencer, and I named everybody. I went through and named everybody that was on there. Whoo. So thank y'all, man. I give gratitude and love for y'all tapping in. Anything I talk about, all information and documents I have for y'all. I give my information. Help me spread this movement. And any literature that you have, I have a full library. You can get things from me from small donations. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And also subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bey. And I give my email number for people can get with me and get information. We sell turbans and fezzes at our company page called MoorishHaberdasher.com. You can get fezzes, turban, regalia. We sell so much items on there. I have a company called My PDF Books. That's books with a Z, where you can download books on your tablet. We also have another company, BindedBooks.com. I don't know if the brothers operate yet, where we print and bind expensive and rare books. But you can get those from me right now as an ebook. All you got to do is look at anything I have on my social media pages as I'm talking. When I do book presentations, and you can see the books that I have available cost thousands of dollars. So you should want the information. I offer them as ebooks, or we print and bind them, and you can get a tax and receipt because it's part of our ministry. But once again, my Gmail is Goodman, GOODMANKHARY. All y'all on here, hit me up, man. Say peace and love. If you like the teachings, I'll give everybody a piece of literature. I've gathered and compiled and divinely prepared a plethora of wisdom. But all brothers you have to do is inbox me, for we can build this community. All those people that I named, some of them are returning people. Man, y'all send me an email for I can send you literature, for we can join, for y'all can meet my muftis, for we can build this stuff, for the like minds can build something. Then I can take us and all the people that's like-minded, bring all y'all to StreamYard. And then when I have my private teachings a lot, you can be there with the private teachings on Zoom with us, and get information for small donations. This is what I'm saying. All those people I named, especially those returning people, my Gmail, once again, is Goodman, GOODMANKHARY @gmail.com. Now, please don't call me at this moment because it's 11:30 in Michigan. My office number is 602-473-8767. And I always give my number away. Why? Because I'm transparent. I want people to text me. I want people to get with me. I want people to get items from me for small donations. If you don't have a turban and a fez, I sell these on my real platform. But if you get with me when I'm in my ministry, if you want these things, I'm going to give you gifts. Just like if you buy a fez off Moorish Haberdasher, I'm going to give you a turban and a fez, and I'm going to show you how to tie it. I can give gifts. Why? Because I can. When you get ebooks from me, I'm going to give you more than what you donated for the ebooks. Why? Because I want you to have them. I want people to have gifts. That's why I have people that just deal with me, that support. I got brothers and sisters and college students and people that's in the science, and some of them just donate each month, and I just send them books each month. They like, whatever books you send me, Sheik, I know it's going to be good for my kids and my history. And so I have people that deal with me, and they donate a certain amount of dollars each month. And each month I send them 10 books, each month. Been doing it forever. I've built people libraries. People library is extensive. And so that's all I'm telling my brothers and sisters. All y'all have to do, all those people that I named on here, man, I should be having hundreds and thousands of people on our private platform for a lot of stuff I can discuss, and we can build things with the money we giving Uncle Sam. We can have something valid. We all can be stakeholders, no matter where no one from. A person can come to this area and see what we have. They can look in the stores and be things because you are a donor, you are a participant, you a stakeholder. And then a lot of things, what the temple provide, you part of it. Why? Because without you, it would be none of this. It wouldn't be a building, it wouldn't be this, it wouldn't be a place of refuge. We won't be owning these houses and moving single moms in and doing business together with ourselves. So that's what I tell everybody. Everybody has the right and the privilege. Let's stop just following me on social media. Don't just watch me build this community. All these people that be following me on TikTok, man, I give y'all my phone and my email. We should be getting together. Y'all should be building y'all library. And now a lot of stuff that talk about privately, now you can join me on StreamYard. Now you can join me on a private Zoom. We need to build this community. And this is what I encourage my people. It's nothing new under the sun. Everything I talk about, I give information. I show you. I give it to you. So no one should be confused or upset. We have the opportunity to do something beautiful. And right now, everybody that's on here, I gave y'all my email, Goodman, GOODMANKHARY@gmail.com. I gave my office number. So nobody can be confused over literature, what's being promulgated, what's historical. Only reason that you can say is that's what you want to do. No one should be confused after earlier today's demonstration when we had these individuals come on here on my page with all the aggression, but who cares about that? And then they have to sit on their hands when a person to say something, and then all I do is just be like, what about this? What about this? It's nothing no one can say. Because this is not no Crips and Bloods. We're dealing with wisdom and understanding, and that be the problem. I tell people, nothing should send you in a burning house. If anything someone talk about, they should be able to show you and give it to you and share it willingly, like I do. That's why I be asking everybody for your information. That's why I be saying, just give a little small donation. All my information on there, I'll give stuff to you for small donations. For nobody won't be confused over history, science, anything, over law. Because as I just broke down, I didn't finish it all. Law governs all events. I'm gonna give a little by a little every day and go back and give you all a little piece by piece, because law governs all events. And the only thing that a person can feel is butthurt. Why? Because they don't know how to read. With all due respect. That's all can happen to people. And that's what you see. Brothers be butthurt when they don't know how to read. When I say this, it does not mean that this is public information, and a person will still try to beat you to death with something that's already been proven, precedented, that what you're saying is not even valid. And a person would still go on and go on. A person would say, oh, you ain't this, then when I start showing documents from the Moorish Science Temple, then a person be, well, and I'm like, well, what now? You know, I always tell people, I say, that be the problem with a lot of us. We say some things, and then it's just like when I use the analogy of Malcolm X. When Malcolm X was a part of something, and he saw that them Negroes wondered about Pooh Diddley, he said, man, I gotta leave this crap alone, because these dudes are PDFs, and they know about it. Just like I'll be saying, if you talk about Moors don't have to pay no taxes and all this, which I said earlier, why in the heck did a certain individual that the person say act like they don't know who I am? Because I stand on truth. I said, when I find out things, don't act like we don't know, or we're going to be around people that's PDFs. And then people say this, and I say, well, this individual, a peace being Monday soul, when people say Moors don't pay taxes, well, this individual went to jail for having his people file fake taxes for millions of dollars. And when people talk about, well, Noble Drew Ali set up a trust, and I said, yeah, the Moorish Science Temple, he set it up as a certain trust. And then I say, well, just like if you understand trust, what type of trust is it? And what's in the trust? Because I ain't say nobody didn't set nothing up. What I told people is, as I close, a 1099 is not no stupid trust fund at the end of the rainbow. It's a religious affidavit. And people got to stop lying about they some consulate and all this. Who appointed you? How long is your tenure? What people appointed you, some consulate general and all this? Where did that come from? That don't come from no Moorish Science Temple of America. With all due respect. And so when people be upset because they want to hold things from you. If anybody was on there earlier, the dude was like, oh, you ain't doing this. But I said, now, are you sure? You know, and people that already know me, they be like, man, why do these people embarrassing themselves? I'd be like, I don't know, because people be upset. Oh, well, these people say they don't know you. Are you sure? And then I say, okay, forget if the people say hypothetically they don't know me. If you say that, and then when I show you all the documents that the people be talking about they don't know, when you see my stuff from the temple, when you see my adapt paperwork, my 720 dispensation, and then people be trying to go on with this stuff, and I said this paperwork is meaningless. Still, I always say, still, this paperwork is meaningless, being a part of some club with all this stuff don't mean nothing. You know, as I always speak, I always have to say that. Like, people not that blind. People can't be that stupid. If a person say, "Oh, they don't know this person, an individual," but the person that they saying don't know me name is on the bottom of my paperwork. From the this be funny, from the temple that they say they part of, that they say that was their grand sheik, and I say they ain't never been my grand sheik. I just tell people, when you're going through things and people say, well, man, you should go through this temple, blah, 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 this, and that, and other, because your wisdom and things like that. I'm cool with things, but when I don't care who's the originator of anything. If you taking people and burning houses and you say you this, man, I'm not rocking with that. And I'm telling you, that's what happens. So nobody can say nothing. I'm going to teach what's truth. But when you see my name, and you see who name is right under there. With all due respect, man, I just be laughing. I just have to show stuff when people be saying things. I say a person will say anything. And then it's just like court. We'll say, okay, well, get the evidence. And then you get the evidence. You'll be looking at the other people like, man, see? And you'll be like, I see what people be saying, Sheik. They'll be like, I see exactly what you're saying. It's our own people. I say this all day. It's our own people. Because everybody have eyes to see. Everybody's not blind. Nobody's not blind. It's just when it comes down to truth and falsehood and what people teach, I'm not letting nobody teach nothing. I'm not going to keep my mouth quiet. This ain't no game thing with me. I just told you what I tell everybody what I represent. I'm Sufi, I'm Tasawwuf, and I'm an educator. The stuff you talk about is meaningless to me, but you're not going to promulgate something and pass it on and get people caught up. That's what I tell people. So that's what we're here for. We're here to stand strong. We're here to be universal. And we're not here to let nobody come up with no fake stuff and get you in trouble and get you expatriated from this de facto government. And then you become stateless and you become a domestic terrorist, foreign and abroad. And all those people telling you to do that, they're going to disappear. Why? Because you're dealing with fictitious names. They really telling you to do some things that's not even what they telling you to expatriate from this so-called de facto government. And when you do that, who do you have allegiance with? Please don't say these people, I don't know, culture or citizenship. I couldn't even explain it in the right way to explaining why a person would do that. So all I just tell people is understand the language what Noble Drew Ali did. When people talk about body politic and trust, and I say, yes, our Noble Drew Ali talk about a trust. The Moorish Science Temple was set up as a certain type of trust. And the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America is the beneficiaries. And just like we talk about power of attorney, but this is the type of trust, and all this is set up is a theocratic. And so, yes, the Moorish Science Temple of America is set up as a certain type of trust, binding forever. Yes. But if we're talking about when people say Noble Drew Ali taught a trust, yes, how he set the temple up, the same way I set my temple up. Now, if we're talking about trust and it's 16 different type of trust, then it got to be some contingent and there's some variables to what? To qualify as whatever type of trust you're talking about. And the Moorish Science Temple is a certain type of trust. So to fulfill the obligations and the rules of that trust, of that said trust, it have to be certain things based off the revised Heard Smith to XYZ. And if it's any assets, liquid, this tangible, how can I say, land or gold or anything, it'll be in a certain precedented law, which is nothing but Fuji dust. So people have to stop lying again when people talk about some vast estate and some trust. And I say, here we go again. We playing semantics. We playing this barbershop talk to get people caught up. And I say, what trust? What vast estate? Because clearly it's none. And when things set up, when you talk about paperwork, and just like my temple, and say 20 years down the line, I'm just hypothetically speaking, things has changed, and say I'm not around anymore, this, not, and the other. And we try to, and then somebody's that might be a part of the temple, or might be a part of the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple in school, and they trying to say, well, the only ones that's duly to do this was Sheik Goodman Bey, and this, not, and the other, and people talking about this is connected to some trust fund or some a real estate or some vast estate, and the people are hoarder, the people of the holder, of course, of the paperwork, that's all a CCR is, they'll be like, we don't know what you're talking about. Because if anything's been changed, assets or sheiks, anything, that's on y'all. And y'all have to change that and then bring it to us. We only the holders of due course. Y'all tell us this is for public information. So if all that stuff hasn't changed, yes or no, or etc, they won't know about that. So once again, people be out of jurisdiction, putting your mission on not your mission, but putting your responsibilities on someone else, saying that, do they know this, or do they have access to this? And they're like, how will we have access to something that you didn't put on record? And then people today with that barbershop talk be talking about some vast estate and some trust. And I'll be like, dude, what trust? What vast estate? Who the beneficiaries of the vast estate? Well, the people that are part of Moore Sign Temple. Okay, so but what vast estate you talking about? Clearly you missing something. And that's what I tell people. So once again, I love y'all. Thank y'all for taking time out y'all day for listening to little old me. Happy holy day to everybody tomorrow. Got a busy day tomorrow. I love y'all. Thank y'all for being you. And man, be yourself and teach truth, regardless if it fill up a room or clear it out. I love y'all. Peace. About to call.